I grew up in the coastal town of Kiwanda, where the air smells of salt and fish, and the nights are alive with the hum of crickets. Our homes are close enough that you can hear your neighbors cough in the dark. And in Kiwanda, you learn early that there are two kinds of people, those who live in daylight, and those whose business begins when the moon is high. My neighbor, Mzee Baraka, belonged to the second kind. He was a tall, wiry man with a crooked walking stick and a voice that always seemed to come from somewhere behind you. His yard was fenced with thorny kongoni branches, the kind fishermen used to keep away evil spirits. Nobody ever visited him, and he was never seen at the mosque, though he claimed to be a man of prayer. Children swore they had seen strange lights dancing in his windows at night, but adults hushed them quickly. In Kiwanda, if you see something you shouldn't, you bite your tongue. But one night in March, during the season of high winds, I saw something I couldn't unsee. The wind had woken me, rattling the corrugated roof like a drum. My kerosene lamp was out, but I caught a faint glow slipping through the cracks in my shutters. It came from Mzee Baraka's yard. Curiosity is a dangerous thing here, but it's also stronger than hunger. I slipped outside, barefoot on the sandy path, and crouched behind the mango tree that separated our compounds. There he was. Mzee Baraka stood in the middle of his yard, shirtless despite the wind, his ribs casting shadows in the lantern light. At his feet lay a small bundle wrapped in bark cloth, tied with strips of goat hide. The shape was wrong, too lumpy for food, too stiff for clothing. He began to dig. The soil here is hard coral and shell fragments, yet his hoe beat through it like wet clay. Every strike made a dull, hollow sound, as though the earth itself was protesting. My stomach tightened. When the hole was deep enough, he lowered the bundle into it with both hands, muttering words in a language I didn't know. Then, to my horror, he pulled a bottle from his waistband, uncorked it, and poured a thick, black liquid over the bundle. The smell hit me even from where I hid, bitter, metallic, wrong. He covered the hole, tamped it down with his bare feet, then stood still for a moment, listening. Finally, he lifted his head toward the moon and whispered something so softly that the wind almost swallowed it. If you do not hear me now, you will hear me in their screams. I ran back to my house before he could turn around. The next morning, news spread like an oil spill. Salim, the young fisherman who lived 2 doors down, had been found in his canoe at dawn, alive, but silent. His eyes were open, but his pupils were rolled up, showing only white. He would not speak, eat, or blink. The elders gathered at the square, and some said it was the work of the sea spirits, angry at something Salim had done. Others whispered about Mzee Baraka, but no one dared point a finger. I told myself to keep quiet, but each night after, I noticed small changes. The wind in our alley seemed to carry whispers. The mango tree between our houses began to wither from the top down. And once, when I passed Mzee Baraka at the market, he gave me a slow smile that made my insides go cold. I knew I should forget what I saw. But forgetting is like holding your breath underwater, you can only do it for so long. 3 nights later, I decided to find out what he had buried. The moon was only a sliver, and the wind was mercifully still. I crept into his yard after midnight, careful not to snap any twigs under my feet. The spot was easy to find, the soil there was fresher, darker than the rest. I began to dig with my hands, the coral grit biting into my skin. The deeper I went, the colder the soil felt, until my fingers brushed against the bark cloth. My heart slammed against my ribs. I pulled it out. The bundle twitched. Not much, just a faint, slow movement, like something shifting inside. My first thought was a rat, but when I loosened the goat hide strips, the smell of the black liquid hit me again, so strong I gagged. Inside the cloth was a small, carved wooden figure, human-shaped but with no eyes, no mouth. Its surface was slick with the dark liquid, and embedded in its chest was a seashell I recognized, a Gambalo people, the spirit shell a fisherman feared to bring home. Its ridges were sharp as teeth, and from within it came the faintest sound, like someone breathing. Before I could think, a hand clamped on my shoulder. Some debts, Mzee Baraka's voice rasped in my ear, are paid in silence. I froze. You opened what should not be opened, he said, taking the figure from my hands. Now it knows your name. He stepped past me and lowered the bundle back into the hole. But this time, as he covered it, the wind rose, swirling dust around us, and I swear I heard the figure whisper my name from under the soil. In the days that followed, I began to wake each night at exactly the same hour, 3 breaths after midnight. My ears would ring, and I would hear the sound of digging somewhere far away, though when I looked outside, the village was still. Salim remained in a silent state until the elders finally took him to a healer 2 towns away. The healer told them his voice had been stolen and hidden somewhere deep in the ground. I never told anyone what I saw. Not because I feared they wouldn't believe me, but because I knew belief wouldn't save me. In Kiwanda, there are things you cannot unbury, not in the soil, and not in yourself. Now, when the wind rises at night, I close my shutters, cover my ears, and pray that whatever is under Mzee Baraka's yard is satisfied with the name it already has. Because if it ever comes looking for another, there are only so many neighbors left.